This week, as we think about creating sacred space in our lives, so oftentimes we think about everything that falls under that category of spiritual. Everything that we may relate to the umbrella of faith, which sometimes we don't allow everything into that category. That some things we consider as separate from one's spiritual life, which makes it more challenging to think about creating sacred space in our lives for things like work. That when we think about our work, our labor, clocking in and clocking out, working the night shift, or attending a staff meeting, seldom do we think about those things in connection with creating sacred space in our lives. And as we talk about our work, it's important to say that we do not just mean our work as in our jobs, that our work may also take place outside of a 9-to-5 schedule with the work where we receive a paycheck. That we have work in all seasons of our lives, whether it is for a career or job or something else, a project, a place of service, volunteer work, everything that we do where we plan and give our energy and time can be considered work. And those are places, whether it is within a 9-to-5 schedule or outside of it, that we can find sacred space. That I think about the young person considering a lifetime in front of him or her, and they are trying to decide on a career or how to pick a major or attending career fairs or sitting down for interviews, thinking about how to write a resume, or as one's job unfolds, where you make changes or move from one position to the next, or you decide to go back to school or shift your focus within your work. There is room in all of those places to think about sacred space. Sometimes we might feel as if our work is too practical to also be spiritual. That how can our work have implications for our faith? Or how can our faith have implications for our work? But what if what we do with our lives, our work and our efforts, could mirror God's work? God's creation and care for this world. That God's creation is both practical and beautiful. Anytime I stumble upon a snake in the backyard or a spider in the house, it takes me a few seconds to remember that those things are necessary in creation. That every animal, every creature has a place, has a purpose, creates value in this world, and is important to nature. That creation, as beautiful as it is also extremely practical. And so it is with our work, where the practical and the beautiful coincide. And maybe with the recent experience that we still endure in a global pandemic, that it reveals something to us of how the practical and the beautiful coincide. That we spend a lot of time talking about essential workers. That what is absolutely essential for our communities and our society. And the list is much longer than perhaps we might have expected a year ago if someone said, what are the essential workers? That today we certainly place on that list cashiers, grocery store workers, garbage collectors, farmers, UPS drivers, funeral directors, and many others. There are minimum wage jobs and jobs without technical training, but all of them are absolutely essential because we depend on them. That the practical and the beautiful coincide. That there is a larger purpose to all of our jobs. That through our work, we might find sacred space because it's through our work that there are opportunities to uphold and contribute to the highest ethical standards in the type of work that we do, allowing what matters the most to guide our decisions and our actions. Or there might be opportunities, as hidden as they might be, to provide to the dignity of other people's lives. There are ways in which what we do serves other people's needs, small needs and big needs. Or we might be able to protect others against harm through what we do. That we might be able to take care of the vulnerable through our work. And our work can even be motivated by God's love for this world. Whether it is we are delivering a baby as a doctor, or delivering news to a coworker with kindness and respect, or delivering a package to a household. That there is a larger purpose to be found in all that we do. That it's important that we do not undervalue our work, because our work can provide meaning and it can tend to the needs of others. It is as God's work in creation, where God created day and night, land and sea, plant and animal, and God says, it is good. That the practical and the beautiful overlap. That there is joy in creating something, contributing to something, recognizing the value of something, how all of our tasks, even the most basic ones, might be quite important, and we do not realize it. And then after those initial days of creation, God forms humanity and says, it is very good. That we are a part of the goodness of God's work. And we have the opportunity before us for our work to mirror God's work, bringing goodness and grace into this world in all sorts of practical and beautiful ways. There is so much value, so much sacred space in the work of our days, whether it is from 9 to 5 or in a completely different schedule. But in the same way, we should not undervalue our work. We should not overvalue it either. That after 6 days of work, God rested. That our work is not everything. That our efforts should not be placed at the center of this world, that God's goodness should. That God's work and God's goodness shapes our own. It reminds us that not everything falls on our shoulders, and thank goodness for that. That we can lean on God's goodness in guiding our decisions and our actions. That we do not overvalue our work, but we can be well aware that it has significant value to us, to our neighbors, to our community, and to this world. That taking into account a broad definition of work, there is such sacred space to be found there. Right there in the midst of our daily tasks. Amen.